Welcome back! Uh, uh. All right. Here we are again, gentlemen. 7 weeks in, It's just a little bit late. Some people saying a little bit due, some demands from the people in the chat. And with that, let's just jump in. I'm your host, the Diddler, known for diddling, as we do. And then I'll pass it over to C Money here.
This is Camilleone, the league commish, vet since 07.
Okay. Dan?
Well, got the DANIMAL leading the league since week 1.
Okay. Jay Rizzle?
Jared Balthus here, the gambler. Started out 4-0, dropped 2 in a row, so no panic yet, but here we are.
Okay. All right. Introductions are in. Can you see the PowerPoint, or is it still showing the other screen?
Yeah, we got it.
All right. So this is not the paid Zoom, Times have been tough. Some of us have been unemployed, have lost access to teams, the full teams. So we're on the free teams, free Zoom. So if I get kicked off, I apologize. But we are in the I Tore My ACL Playing Fantasy Football official pod review, going from week 1 all the way to week 6. So I really want you boys to think back about the draft, whatever you boys really want to talk about. And I appreciate, our current first place winner being here, and then some losers here as well that are lower on the charts. But let's start with that. So how about this? I'm gonna walk us through the current standings. And then I have a couple questions for the folks here, and maybe we need to let Dan have a little spiel talk as well. So we'll start with Dan, and then we'll go to some others here. But in first place, the Danimal. Some are saying, what was it, the original back-to-back or the original double champ? Is that what the terminology is? I don't want to get it wrong. Okay,
right.
Original double champ. And then we got the Scranton Strangler. Somehow is up there. We've got the Gambler. So we got 2 and 3 in here right now. Wow, okay. We've got Pugs Not Drugs number 4, Nameless Malice, our a past champ, which we should not talk about, kind of like Baltimore. We got What's Up number 6, always number 6. He stays in the middle of the pack. The Diddler, I can't get past 7th anymore. Captain Cows?
Chaos.
Right? Okay. The Comeback, Triple D, Silence of Lambs, and Daddy's Team. So with that, maybe Dan, why don't you open us up? Tell us a little bit about, what's going right for you. What's how's it like at the top?
Well, I'm gonna just pause for a second, allow you guys to boo me because I'm used to it.
Ooh.
Yeah. So no, it's nice. I gotta quote a fellow double champ that this is probably the best draft I've ever had. So shout out to Madison. But yeah, I mean, it's nice not to have season-ending injuries and IRs so far, and well, I'm proud of my draft.
You know what, Dan? I tend to root against you, but I'll be honest, I have gained some respect for you this year. So good start.
I appreciate that.
So if you could, is the team pulling up?
Yeah.
Okay, so Dan, I want everyone to know that I went behind you, and you took a lot of the picks that I really, really wanted. For instance, I was really big on Derrick Henry. All of the podcasts that don't go Derrick Henry, it's not going to work. But if you've watched the Ravens for a long time, Lamar will basically work it down all the way to the red zone and then have a running back run it in. And there's now with the hip tackle gone, I mean, who's really going to stop Derrick Henry? He's way better than Gus Edwards, and basically going to do way more than Gus Edwards. And I think that's certain to be true. And then I don't know what, Godwin and DK Metcalf, both kind of I would say vets in the league, and are both still putting up decent
Contract
points.
year for Godwin. I may have missed that coming in, but contract year is helping him out there.
Yeah, he's been going off. Garrett Wilson, I mean, here's where it could go wrong for Dan, right? We'll get into that in a little bit, but yeah, Dan, I mean, what do you think about your I mean, you have a solid bench. Any other comments about Dan's team? Overall, it's pretty solid, right? There's no I don't think there's a huge superstar here. I think there's so much good though. You know what I mean? It's a very even team. I don't know. What do you think, Cam?
On all his draft picks, which is a dream for fantasy players. It was when every draft pick you have just seems to be working out, especially with a guy like Godwin, where Evans tends to take all the touchdowns and most of the value there. And he's just dominating.
It's true. And I will say, Montgomery might be actually the most underrated running back out there. I mean, dude is insane, bro. And I know this is a sensitive topic for Jared after falling on the Gibbs. I don't know how many times you had to go through that, but dude, he is a beast. So there's a lot of points to be had there too.
I think he's touchdown leader in the league or close to it.
Oh, is he right now?
I mean, he's scored every week.
He had a slow start, I thought. I don't think he's been killing it every week, but definitely the last couple weeks.
Yeah. And
Let's see. Yeah, he's got 15, 13, 19, 13, 20. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty rock solid. So,
yeah. And to confirm, he didn't pick up Andrews. You picked up Andrews off waivers like this week, right? So you didn't draft. You hadn't fallen on the Andrews sword, did you?
Oh no, I wanted to troll Corey.
Okay. Okay, cool. Okay, good. Anything else to add about Dan's team before we move on?
I mean, Kittle in a year where tight end has been decimated, Kittle's like the tight end one. So, that's big.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a weird tight end year for sure. So going back to this, um, maybe it would be good we'll jump back and forth here, but I wanted to show the points for versus the points against chart, and I'll zoom in for you guys just a bit here. So points for is on the left here, whoever it's rated from, who has the most points, and then points against is who has the least points scored against them. So Dan, obviously man of his word, has put up a lot of points, right? He's in first place for that one reason. Um, And then coming, it's actually a really big jump. So Dan has been doing shockingly well. Again, I hate this for Dan. But then it goes Watts up, who's actually the most and still in sixth, which is very unlucky. And then freaking me, man. Like, what the heck? Like, I mean, it's close, right? It's not like I think I'm beating Joe by a couple points here, but I'm freaking seventh and I'm third in points four. And then a couple over, and then Jared, you've gotten by, man, with 603. You're technically pretty deep down there, but you're winning the matches that counts. I mean, it is what it is. And then Cam, unfortunately, we'll get to Cam's team. Maybe we should have some time to do that. And then, man, Bowser team is a complete bust when it comes to points. And maybe we should take a look at Bowser's team. But then to switch it over to who's getting scored on the least, of course, freaking Corey getting the least amount of points scored, 555, and then Joe as well. And then, Cam has just been having a hard time. It doesn't look like, it's really anyone scoring on him unless maybe just a team view. But let's go back here. I mean, Cam, I don't know. After looking at the points, is there some frauds in this list? I mean, what do you have to say about that?
Uh, I don't know if I call anybody a fraud this early. I definitely think Bowser's team got the injury bug really bad after his team blew up on me. So I think injuries have been huge. That's probably also why the scoring is a little wonky and why if you maybe scored great in the first few weeks, put up a lot of points against some people, and then you had a bunch of injured players on your team, then you're going to drop off right on the wins pretty suddenly. So I think injuries play a huge role. I wouldn't call anybody a fraud yet, but I definitely think there are some concerning rosters out there, and I'm sure we'll touch on some of them.
So this is the question I always ask, and you've heard me say this a few times, Cam, over the past pod interviews, but is it not somewhat of your own fault for drafting people who are injury prone? Because I'm looking, and maybe you can tell exactly who I'm talking about on this list that always is hurt constantly throughout the season. Any guesses to who that player is on his team? If you could look at this roster right here. Any other guesses? Jared, I'll take Jared or Dan too.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's got two, Deontay and Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Kupp, yeah.
Yeah, so Cooper Kupp was the one I was thinking about, right? Like, dude is constantly hurt. Obviously, the Pacheco thing is a huge loss, but you also got Eckler, who's pretty consistently hurt. And you got some interesting plays, like the Kyler Murray was a stretch, right? I don't think he's been doing particularly bad, but it's not like I don't think I put all my eggs in that basket. And overall, I mean, I don't know if he's made some changes to his team or if he's just kind of lucky. I'm not like particularly. I think at the beginning of the year it was, but I'm not particularly impressed. Right? I mean, I think he picked up Deontay Johnson off waivers. I dropped Deontay Johnson, so I guess Cooper Kupp was filling that gear. I mean, he is missing Cooper Kupp and Pacheco. So I don't know. Do you think this is just a bad draft or just a bad stroke of luck? Jared, what do you think?
I mean, I think Cup was drafted at an appropriate position. I mean, that's a pretty tough break because he did look like his old self in the first couple weeks of the season. So I would tend to not be critical of that.
I
Dan, what
think
do you think? Is there room? What would you do if you were in Matt's shoes right now? You're in last place. Obviously, there's time to be had. I think we're going to get to Fab in a little bit about what's have. Do you think this is a team that can come back, or do you think there's is not season needs to start making some trades and changing up what he's got going on here?
Has Kyle Pitts like has he picked it up lately? I haven't paid any attention.
as far as tight ends go, he's not been terrible.
Click on him. I think he's actually like a top
Okay.
10 tight end. I'll
And
get
that's
the numbers
and that's
on
the
that.
weird that's the weird thing too, right? Like I feel like 6 to 9 points for a tight end is actually pretty good this year. You know what I mean? Because it's been such a low scoring, which is unfortunate because we did the double tight end this year, and we'll talk about that. Maybe talk about that in a little bit. But some people fell on the double tight end sword, which is really unlucky if they're scoring like between 6 to 9 points.
He is the tight end 8 with 33 points.
Okay, so very mid pack. But definitely better for what Kyle Pitts has been doing, to be fair. And I think there's a lot of potential with Falcons.
I think Brees
Uh,
being a dud has really hurt him. And like he started out okay, but I think the Jets are looking to mainly throw the ball.
He has more than Dalton Kincaid and Travis Kelsey, Sam Laporta, Mark Andrews. So
Wow. No, that's
yeah.
crazy. Who is the top tight ends right now?
Kittle.
Top tight end, Kittle, Bowers, Komet, Kraft, likely still, and then McBride, Freiermuth, and Pitts.
Mm.
Okay. Okay, good. And we'll touch on the Brock in a second here because I think that might have been one of the best trades so far in the fantasy league. But we talked about it a little bit. We spent some time on Mr. Bowser's team, but let's go back to someone who's here, and has not having the best stroke of luck. I guess that would be Cam. I mean, Cam, talk to us about the vision of this team. Maybe what are you thinking? What's the problem right now?
Yeah, so obviously went running back heavy, starting out with Bijan, rolling over to James Cook. Obviously an early tight end pick in Trey McBride that on a year where tight ends are not valuable at all, that hurts. But I think my biggest problem is big, big misses at the wide receiver position. I think Pickens and Dell have been absolutely killing me. Um, Otherwise, I think a late Jaden Daniels pick was like well thought out. I think he's been fine. Bijan has not been worth the top 3 picks so far, but I do think he's got value to come as he's shown last game. Honestly, I think the difference between my team and maybe some of the other teams at the bottom is I really believe in the talent. And I've been trying to be patient. I even had some people say I should probably trade out some of my guys to get more talent. But I think back-to-back wins, hoping to string off a third here, has shown that there is value there. And while my scoring is low for the league, I've not had a massive dud game yet. I think about 95 average, which I don't disrespect.
Yeah, so let's talk about some people on your team here that have a lot of potential, right? I mean, Jaden Daniels, arguably one of the best rookie quarterbacks out there, super consistent, having a great time. James Cook, when he's healthy and he's been playing, has been an absolute monster and has been really filling that gap for Buffalo. And then I'm really not mad at some of your rookies. Obviously, your wide receivers are having the issue. I don't know what's going on with Debo. I mean, we're just looking at Debo's points. This is not, I mean, he picked it up last game, but this is not typical Debo right here. I don't know if has he been injured, Cam, or okay, he's been a wrist injury for some things.
Yeah.
He's having a half a rough time, but Lad McConkey and Braylon Allen, dude, are a lot of potential there. Especially if the Brees Hall Cam, kind of like you said. I mean, Allen showed some like little glimpses of glory. And if Brees Hall does get hurt, which he is kind of an injury prone guy, there's a lot of potential. So I don't know. I think there is opportunity here. And then Tank Dell, I feel like is hit or miss because there's just so many good wide receivers there, when it comes to that. Dan,
Yeah.
what do you think about this team?
I mean, I think it's solid. I don't know who Lad McConkey is. I don't really pay attention. Uh, but sounds like he's a fun name to say.
He's in that high-powered passing offense over the Chargers.
Yeah, I was gonna say, think of all the Chargers wide receivers right now, and the people that are still
I'm
there.
axe to grind actually here because I placed a generous 10-cent bet on Justin Herbert and the under, and the one time that I bet on it is when he decides to throw over 160 yards.
That's how it goes. That is how it goes. All right, well, let's go back here. I think we've hit this topic pretty well. We'll look into some more teams in a minute here, but I wanted to go into a quick fab update, and just reveal kind of where we're at. And man, we are further, right? We're what? This is week 7 now. And, per the fantasy podcasters, if you follow any podcast, you really are supposed to use your fab up within what, Cam? The first 4 weeks? Is that what they typically recommend? Use majority of your fab?
Yeah, I mean that's how I live. I don't know if it's what the recommendation is.
Yeah. So you'll notice something as we look through this trend, quickly going through it. We got Captain K 100, we got DANIMAL 90, What's Up 88, Daddy's Team 71, Strangler 70, the Diddler 66, Silence Lamb 63, Pugs Not Drugs 48, Triple D 44, and then we got our bottom tiers here in typical fashion. So surprisingly, Jared's not out yet, which is huge. I would have thought he would be right there in the lower tier, but we got Nameless Malice at 5 and the Comeback at 2, which I'm not mad at. But I also think there hasn't been the best pickups this year. Like there hasn't been that one standout player yet. I mean, maybe Kareem Hunt is what I'm thinking. That was a question I was going to ask. Is there a pickup that you're like, man, I missed out on that yet so far? Anyone can jump in on this question.
I don't think so.
Go
Yeah,
ahead,
nothing
Jared.
comes to mind. I am trying to think. I can't think of one.
So
Yeah.
I guess the backup for CMC. I don't know if anybody had what's his name? Jordan, is it Jordan Mason?
Mason, yeah. That was like a preseason, if not a week 1 pickup, but for sure I had picked him up and dropped him, and then Jared picked him up.
Yeah. So that would probably I'm thinking Jordan Mason and maybe Kareem Hunt are the only ones that stick out. Again, like I was saying before we got started on the podcast, this is a weird fantasy year. I don't think, and football year in general, I don't think there's anything dominant, right? There's any dominant. And we haven't actually seen, I guess, like a major injury yet. Off on the offense at least, where it's really going to affect things, change things too much. Jared hasn't started stocking his bench with 4 to 5 backups of everyone's backups in case we can start scooping them. So it's been a weird year, for sure. But
I will say, I don't think there was anybody that was huge to be picked up that I missed out on, but I am a little jealous that Cam got the Vikings defense because they have been stout.
yeah, I have made some serious mistakes on defense. I mean, I have Buffalo's defense, but what are the top fantasy defense right now, Jared? I don't know if you can, as our researchers,
Yeah,
who's in
I'll
top
give you a
place?
little live update here as I pull that up. The Broncos just went up 26-3. Javonte Williams on your bench, Gabe, has like 25
Oh
points.
no.
So there's a little live update, but
Let's while he's pulling that up, let's look at the old Diddlers team, and I'll show you why I don't deserve to be 2-4. Why Jared's doing that, and then we'll go to defense. I'm looking at this team and I see greatness. I mean, let's look at this team together. Now, first off, I made some mistakes at quarterback. I'm willing to admit that. The Anthony Richardson was a gamble. I think it had Anthony Richardson, maybe Aaron Rodgers to start. Both were a gamble. When Anthony Richardson came out and threw like a 60-yard pass, I thought to myself, wow, this was a great choice. And then after that, definitely didn't go so sweet. But I think Sammy D has something still in him, man. And he's been playing pretty decent and he's been slinging it. So I'm really happy with that. I think Diggs was a gamble. I think everyone was down on Diggs, kind of like Cam was up on Tank. There's some opportunity to be had still with Diggs. And then obviously I've been playing without Brown, my number one pickup. So like this guy's coming back and he's going to be a real game changer for me. And I think honestly, correct me if I'm wrong, is Saquon not, if not top three, maybe best fantasy player right now? If when they're playing good. It's been a weird couple past 2 weeks, but when he's playing good, I would put him at least number one, number three, 1 through 3. Pollard, yeah, this is where we get questionable, right? There's definitely some
Yeah, most
here.
experts will say if you redraft today, Saquon's the number one pick.
So I got
So
I
we can give you that one. I
so
mean, Henry would be up there, maybe second pick, I guess, but
right, and then we got Brock Bowers, which I think you said was number 2. And then we get into the questionable space. I got Robinson in right now because Pittman. I feel like Pittman almost might be like a drop at this point, man. I don't know what's going on. I mean, like Flacco only wants to throw to Downs, which is great. I think Richardson was only wanting to throw to Alec Pierce. I don't know if it's because he's like double marked or what's going on, but Pittman has just not been reliable. So I'm trying to flex that in. I think that's my biggest downfall. But I got Brock Bowers, and then I got I actually won out a fab bet against Cam and Derek by 1 point each on Harrison Butker, and now I got Buffalo's defense. So I mean, guys, tell me this isn't a really good team. Like, tell me I'm not crazy. Is this a 2-4 team? I mean, maybe I'm just unlucky here, but like, dude, this is a really solid team. Cam,
Yeah.
look at this team.
I think a little top heavy, but I would be, yeah. If I looked at that team off the rip and you asked what the record was, I would definitely assume a winning record.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I know, Dan, there's probably some hate to be said. What's the problem with this team, Dan?
I think you got a team that's going to keep you out of relegation at least. I'll say that.
Okay.
So
It's
Saquon is about as much of a injury risk as Derrick Henry. So you never really know there. And then the Darnold, I don't know. I think he's been good, but I don't know if that's going to last. So that might hurt you.
Jared, what do you
click.
think, man? Is there hope?
I mean,
Hope
can
for
you
playoffs?
click in on Pollard's game logs right there?
He hasn't been that
Um,
bad, man. I mean, look at these
I
points.
mean, he's
16, 11,
decent.
16, 17,
I think
16.
your Diggs has been solid. I think you may be overhyping him a little bit because Nico has been the big dog there, but he is out, so Diggs will be a little better. And Diggs is solid. It's solid production, but yeah, I mean, I think it's a good, not great team.
Good, not great. You know what? I'll take it. As long as I don't get relegated, I
I
haven't
mean,
tasted it.
for as many, I mean, as many misses as you did admit to having, like Richardson and whatever the other ones were, but in Pittman, I had high hopes for Pittman this year. That's been a pretty disappointing. So.
All right. Well, with that, we'll go back to the defenses. So, what are the defenses looking like in terms of the top defenses this year? I don't know if you were able to pull that up.
Yeah, so the top defense is Minnesota at 118, and
Hmm.
you only have three others over 100, which is Chicago, Green Bay, surprisingly, at 3, and then
Hmm.
Denver at 4, followed
Interesting.
by Pittsburgh and San Fran. After that, it starts to get a little dicey, but
Yeah.
That's
Interesting.
Minnesota already having their bye week too.
Yeah, that is interesting. It's I drafted the Cowboys in another league, and that's the immense disappointment. I don't know what the heck is going on there. I didn't think there was that much change, but it's just been again a really weird fantasy year so far in that terms. All right. So with that, with some changes that I wanted to touch on, I feel remiss if we didn't. One, and I might be missing some stuff, so if I am, jump in and mention that. But we got some big trade news, and we got some returning players. Obviously, Amari Cooper is going over to
Buffalo.
remind me Buffalo, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And then Devontae Adams is going to the Jets. And
Yep.
then we got Nick Chubb, TJ Hawkinson, Jonathan Brooks, all potentially coming up today. So we're running low on time, but I wanted to say, I mean, what does this change? Like, Cam, talk to me about Amari Cooper. I mean, is this guy going to make an impact on Buffalo? Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think season long, like he's high value. They've been looking for a solid number one there, so he's a great target.
And then Dan, I mean, obviously you have Garrett Wilson. Like, what is this going to change? I mean, I don't feel like he's been particularly connecting with Rodgers that much. And Adams is literally his boy when they announced it. he was literally on a podcast, and Adams was in the background at Rogers' house. I mean, what's going to happen to this Garrett Wilson pick on your team here?
I don't know. I mean, it's a coin flip because I mean Garrett Wilson. Part of why he's kind of sucked so far. Well, not sucked, but he's not been great is because he's getting double teamed and he is the top corner every time. So I'm hoping to see that he gets single coverage, maybe goes against the second best person. Devontae kind of takes some heat. So I think they could do like a 1-2 punch, which I can live with. It's not ideal because he was my number one pick, but it is what it is.
And then Jared, I mean, like we got some serious heat coming in. I mean, dude, I don't know if you guys read the message that Nick Chubb wrote, but like, dude, he has a fire under him. Like he is ready to come back. And I hope he does. It would be legit. But like, what does this mean, Jared? I mean, looking at these three guys, I mean, is this going to change some of the people in our fantasy league? Are they going to start getting some love
Yeah.
here?
I mean, Nick Chubb is a player to get excited about. He's kind of the opposite of oh man, what's Josh Jacobs, who's a little anti-fantasy. Nick Chubb, I think, was quoted as saying, I'm here to pay the people back, the fantasy community back. Like, let's go, let's get it. So Nick Chubb's a freak. He's not maybe quite in that Derrick Henry mold, but he's just that kind of freak outlier type player. So hopefully he can bounce back from the injury. TJ Hawkinson, hopefully can get up to speed in Minnesota. Jonathan Brooks is probably the biggest question mark. I think they may take it really slow and easy with him. But we haven't seen him yet, so it's still a bit of an unknown there.
Oh, dude, I hope so. I have him on my bench in another league, so that'd be nice. Like I don't expect much. But yeah, so with that, I think we got about 3 minutes left. Maybe let's just go. Everyone's just say whatever's on their mind, say their piece, whatever they need to say, talk their smack. We'll start with the current leader. How about we go in rankings here? So Dan, you'll go, then Jay Rizzle, then pass it to me, and we'll end with Cam. All right, Dan, kick us off.
Well, I just got one thing to say. And said I want Derek to apologize for not picking up CMC's backup.
Hmm.
That's a rookie mistake. That's not a triple champ mistake. I don't want
Okay.
an apology.
Okay, we'll see if we can get Derek on the pod for official apology statement. All right, Jared, what do you got to say?
All right, guys. Yeah, just want to say, took a little bit of a hit there with Rashee Rice going out for the year. That one stung, really hurt Mahomes, kind of ceiling for the year. But got Caleb Williams. He might be making a couple appearances in the next few weeks, and I think my running back core is strong. Just to kind of clarify on a point from earlier, David Montgomery does have 82 points, but Jay Gibbs has 72, so not too far behind him. So just need Montgomery to tweak that hammy or take a
Sure.
week or two off and get some plus
Terrible.
weeks. So
And do I have you on record saying Caleb Williams is better than Jaden Daniels? Is that on record?
that was for that week only.
Okay.
Jaden Daniels is a boss, so Jaden
Okay.
Daniels is killing it. So
Okay. Okay. Fair. All
yeah.
right, Cam, close us out here.
Yeah. Pulling up the rear here in the league. But as long as the Commanders are half decent, I can live through a relegation year again. If I have
Wow.
Dang.
Commanders. That being said, I'm ready to surge back, boys. I've started 1-6 before, went undefeated into the playoffs. It can happen, man. It can happen. So, started 0-4, rolled off 2 in a row. So ready to get one more. Let's go.
All right. So you're saying you're open to some trades?
I'm saying people told me to trade, but I believed in my team, and they've got me 2 wins so far. Hoping for 3.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, with that, we'll close out here, boys. Thanks for joining on the pod, as always. And hope everyone has a good night, man. Adios.
Thanks for bringing it back.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
See y'all.